Hey everyone, welcome to episode 289, The Gossip Girls. Welcome to the Harmony in the Home podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Hutchison. I'm a counselor, a life coach, and most importantly, an imperfect mom doing this work right along with you. And my goal on our podcast is to go from chaos to calm, feel less frazzled, and have more fun within your four walls to have more harmony in your home. So, you know, I like very tricky and creative titles, but before I get into what we're going to talk about today, I want to talk to you about our sponsor for the show, and that is Herbal Face Food. I have talked about Herbal Face Food so much for so long because it has helped me so much with my rosacea, my eczema. It's helped many teens that have acne. If you have fine lines and wrinkles, I've gotten splotchy for some reason. I just have like these random splotches. It just kind of evens out your skin tone. So a way to help the show, because podcasting ain't cheap, you my friends. A way to put almost like a tip in the tip jar is to go to herbalfacefood.com. Even if you just get a bar of soap and you use the code Harmony20, which I think is absolutely adorable that we have a coupon code. We are like so legit. Then it's a way to help support the show, and it's a way to make your skin feel great. So it's a win-win for sure. So that, again, go to herbalfacefood.com and then type in the coupon code Harmony20 for 20% off your first order, and let me know how you like it. I want you to listen to something that I heard on Instagram, and I am always thinking about all of you. I'm thinking about your kids. I'm thinking about your pain points. I'm thinking about your problems. I love hearing your problems. I love hearing your pain points because that gives a direction for this show. That's why your feedback is crucial to our podcast, because it's not my podcast, it's our podcast. If there was no one listening, then it'd be really awkward for me just sitting here in my closet with really good sound and just talking to myself and talking to my dogs who follow me everywhere. They're called the Velcro dogs for a reason. And so I heard this on Instagram, and it was one of those like, whoa, copy this link, must share immediately. Do not pass go, must share, must share. And it's all about why people gossip. And I used to be a huge gossip girl. I always wanted to hear, and I didn't want to say, oh, I want to gossip. I would just say, what's the word on the street? It was such an innocent way of me trying to find out the latest scoop on all the people. This is my 20s and 30s, and I've done some reflection of why I was so obsessed with everybody else's business and what was going on and why I was so nosy Rosie. And on the other side of this clip, I'm going to tell you what my perspective I've had from growing up and maturing, and also understanding why people do it and why we all do it and why we're so drawn towards it. So let me know what you think. Here we go.
Before you try to solve a problem, first make sure it's your problem. That like blew my mind when I first came in. It was like, oh, a friend of mine is going through a breakup. I need to go over there and I need to start helping her pack her stuff. So it's like, why am I solving someone else's problems? My addiction was to get out of myself. Instead of checking out with drugs or alcohol, I was like, I'm going to use someone else's problems to disassociate and to get some self-esteem. That's how low my self-esteem is, that I need to go rescue someone to feel good about myself, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's, again, a really tricky thing, because if a friend of mine said, hey, you know, I'm in a really bad situation, someone just hit me, I'd be like, I'm on my way over, you know, but I wasn't doing it for that reason.
Yeah, which is why the motive thing comes in.
And it's kind of a subconscious addiction to drama, which is ultimately adrenaline. I remember watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, and I was glued to it. I couldn't get enough, because I was like, everyone needs to watch this, because this is the apotheosis of internal drug cabinet. This is adrenaline addiction. We don't talk about this because no one sells adrenaline, right? When you subconsciously put yourself in situations where you're going to get a ton of adrenaline, because adrenaline turns into dopamine. It's addictive. That's why toxic relationships are addictive, you know? It's like, this feels bad, but it also, I can't stop. And that was a big thing for me in codependence.
Isn't that so good? So this is from the Instagram of Chris Willix, Willx, which I have never heard of before. And I love the line. It says, make sure it's your problem before trying to fix it. Why is everyone so emotionally fragile? With Whitney Cummings. And the comments are kind of mixed about like, oh, you need to be a good friend. You need to be a good friend. And then someone says, What everyone seems to be missing is that she said she uses other people's problems as a way to disassociate, which is doing absolutely nothing for solving the problems in your own life. Said nothing about helping a friend when asked. So that's what she was saying, the motive behind helping a friend. She's still going to help the friend, but what is the motive behind helping that friend? We always want to be the savior complex of just being the superwoman or superman who comes in and solves all the problems. And so we get all wrapped up in other people's problems as a way to dissociate. And that's why people love reality TV, which, believe me, I do. And there's nothing wrong with disassociating for small bouts of time or checking out or just kind of, David and I call it flubbing our lips. No problem watching TV to flub your lips. It's all about moderation. Another commenter said, this is exactly how people get into codependent and toxic relationships. One partner serves as the rock so the other can continue to be an emotional mess that relies on the other. This codependency doesn't help either partner grow because the rock isn't able to get their emotional needs by always catering to the other, and the other person never learns to take responsibility, accountability for themselves. Roller coaster dramatic relationships are not love. They are dopamine addiction and anxiety in disguise. Real love is safety, respect, and each person taking accountability responsible for themselves. Thank you, Kelly McCloskey, a random commenter I just saw. But the dopamine and the addiction to it is something to really keep in check, because sometimes we're always in other people's lanes because we want to solve and fix their problems. And she talks about the Amber Heard case. And you know me, I am addicted to true crime because I just can't get enough of it. It's like a way to disassociate and a way to check out. Again, nothing wrong with it, just done in moderation and always being conscious about it. And she wasn't checking out with drugs and alcohol, but if you watch the clip, she hits her arm. It's almost like, this was my drug. This was my drug of choice, was to be so consumed with other people's problems and to be the savior. And a reason why I was really into the word on the street when I've done self-reflection of like, why was I so obsessed with finding out what was going on in people's lives and their marriages and their families, with their dogs, with their kids, with their gritty grandpappies. And I think it's because I was struggling so much as a new mom that I just wanted to normalize that struggle a little bit more. So if I knew that other people were struggling, then it made me somehow feel a little bit safer and less alone. And our pastor talked about it this weekend. He said, a lot of people are very reassured that I have problems. He says, it sounds really crazy, but people actually feel good that I have problems. And I'm just here to tell you, I have 6 kids, running a church, a wife, a dog, and all 6 kids are married. So they all have kids and their kids and their kids. And so I have a lot of problems. And then he said, I can hear that collective sigh of relief. Why is it that everybody feels good that I have problems? And everybody laughed. But it's very true, because once you know that you're not the only person struggling, you feel less alone. It's why people go to AA. It's why people that are drinking and they need that support of hearing, I'm struggling too, and we're going to struggle together. And so from doing this work, I realized you can't get through life without pain and struggle. You can't get through life without grieving someone that you've loved. You can't get over a breakup. You can't get away from having your heart broken. You can't get away from wrinkles or gray hairs. It's eventually always going to happen to everybody. Weight gain, weight loss, job gain, job loss, money security, money insecurity. And I remember when we were going through infertility, I remember going to Sam's, and I feel like I saw 15 pregnant women, and I came home, and this is when we were not pregnant. I came home from Sam's just hysterically crying, and I just felt so alone in the infertility journey. And that's one of the reasons why I got on the message boards on Baby Center, so I could feel a little less alone, because there was no Facebook back then. There was no hey, I'm really struggling, guys. I started a blog. I reached out on Baby Center because I just wanted to feel less alone. And I remember crying to David, and he said, this is our cross to bear. Everyone has their cross to bear in life, and this is our cross to bear. And we're going to get through this together. This too shall pass, all the things. And that really helped me, just knowing that this is our cross to bear, because everyone has a cross to bear. It's just different for everyone. And so when you can reach out and let everybody else know, if you don't want to know your deepest, darkest secrets, that you're struggling too, there is some comfort in knowing that everybody's has a different cross, and sometimes the cross is the same as you, but it's still the same, because it's that fear, it's that anxiety, it's that unsureness, it's the waiting, it's the praying, it's the feeling of isolation and a loneliness, like you're the only person going through it. And from doing this work, I realized like, oh, life is 50-50 for everyone. I don't need to know what their 50-50 is. I just know that they're having it, just like they're going to have gray hairs. If they don't have gray hairs now, they're going to have it eventually. And not that I want ill will, but it makes you feel less alone, that you're not the only one going through it. It's supposed to be hard. That means you're doing it right. So I'm always conscientious of my addiction to true crime. And it's funny because when I was so focused on what other people were doing and how was their marriage and how were their kids, and I was so reassured when I was at a play date and then another kid would act up. I'm like, oh, thank the Lord. And so many parents that I work with are so embarrassed on play dates when their kids act up. I'm like, no, you're actually making the other parent feel better because it's just not their turn at that time. Like, because they're having that same tantrum. You can't get through parenting without tantrums. You can't get through parenting without back talk. You can't get out parenting through parenting without eye rolls or messy rooms or spending too much money or XYZ. It's just impossible. It's your cross to bear. And I can promise you, once you get through the stage that you're going through now, there will be another thing that will replace it for a different 50-50. And when I was so focused on other people's side of the street, guess what I was worried about? What was everybody thinking about me? I was so consumed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I said that thing. Oh, I should be breastfeeding longer. I don't know if I should rear face any longer. What about this car seat? I don't know if this car seat's the right one. Are they watching too much TV? This person's watching this much TV. I was like, compare and despair. And then once I realized like, oh, focus on my side of the street, stay in my lane, all of a sudden that chatter of what other people were thinking wasn't really going on as much because I wasn't thinking about other people. So I was just not projecting that onto them, that they were thinking about me as well. And if they are, that's fine. Everybody does. But just what am I thinking about myself? So what you think about yourself is much more important than what other people are thinking about you. Because then you're going to project that out to everybody else in your life. And guess who you're going to project it onto first? The people within your four walls. And once you're conscious about that and that projection gets lower and you're just focused on your side of the street and you project back onto yourself versus onto your kids and all your baggage onto your spouse, then guess what happens? Everyone has a lot more harmony in the home. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. Hey, mamas, thanks for listening. If you had any ahas, clicks, or those lightning bolt moments while listening, you have to check out my free parenting bootcamp, where we take all of this to the next level, and we try to create even more awakenings for ourselves so that we can connect more with our kids and never yell at them again. You can sign up at www.coachingkelly.com. And if you really want to fill up my love cup, send me an email of what your aha was, what your click was, what was that lightning bolt moment while you were listening. I want nothing more in life than for you to have harmony in your home and to learn how to be an imperfect mom like me, which allows your kids to be imperfect too, each and every day. Thanks for listening.